Niners they face all these teams off a bye. Not every coach is great off a bye. The offensive coaches are. So the Niners are a veteran team with a veteran head coach. So this is a really, really smart team that can play on short rest. They're not rebuilding anything. They get Hufanga back at safety. They've got a couple of young receivers they'll work in, but they kept Debo, Kittle, Trent Williams, Purdy, CMC, Brandon Ayuk. They brought the band back. And look what they face until October 10th. New. Jets and their new offensive line. Minnesota, 2 new quarterbacks. New England, new everything. Seattle, new coach. Rams, really last 2 years, rebuilt the defense. Now no Aaron Donald. New, with a veteran high-Q offense, adaptable against kids. Young staffs, young O-lines, new defenses. Very, very good start for the Niners, who don't need help because they're stacked. Rams.
Let's take a look at this schedule. Okay, so I think the Rams. I think the 49ers I think they have a great schedule personally. I'm not gonna dig too deep into like off the buys or this or that, but let's look at this. And of course, some of these games you're gonna end up winning or losing that you never thought, right? Like we see this all the time. Like randomly, the Patriots end up beating the 49ers, and you're just like, what? No, who could have ever saw that one coming? The 49ers experienced that last season. Every single team does. So you that's why it's always so hard. Did anyone ever think that the Raiders were going to beat the Chiefs? Of course not. So, but if you were just taking everything at face value, right? I could see the Steelers having a nearly identical season as last season. I think it's going to be another nail biter as probably between the Lions and the 49ers in terms of who's fighting for the number 1 seed. And I think the Packers and the Eagles can come up there as well. But if you had to just make a bet right now based off of no other information and not looking at how these games are folding out, because I'm a firm believer that you really can't evaluate a team until like week 5, week 6. Like, you got to see how these games are played. You just have to have a feeling for how do they play against a really good defense? How do they play against a really good offense, a bad defense, a bad whatever it may be. A player who you think is really good, how's he playing? Is he playing actually really good, or is he starting off sluggish? Is something going on? Whatever it may be. So, but again, to take everything at face value, it's like, I got the 49ers. I got the 49ers against the Jets. I got them against Minnesota. I could see them probably splitting against the Rams. So I don't know which one that'll end up being, but they could go 2-0. They're definitely not going to go 0-2 from my perspective. So at the minimum, a split. They're going to beat the Patriots. They're going to beat the Cardinals. They're going to beat Seattle. Kansas City, that's going to be a fascinating game. That's a rematch. You never know. Again, who the heck honestly knows? I think that will also end up being a coin flip. They're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to beat Tampa Bay. They're going to beat Seattle again. Green Bay will also potentially be another coin flip game. The Bills, I think the Bills are going to either be this great team and balling out, or it's going to be another, what are we going to see with the Bills? Yes or no? Yes, no, yes, no, who knows? So again, another coin flip. I think they'll beat the Bears, and I already went over the Rams again, so that's, technically the other coin flip. I think they'll beat the Dolphins. Detroit Lions ends up being, this is also really interesting now. Now you have the Detroit Lions, and they'll beat the Cardinals again. You have the Detroit Lions. To me, that's a question mark because it's specifically at week 17. And it's like, well, what's at stake here? Are they battling for the number 1 seed? Is it all in, let's go? Or is it, because the thing is when you're fairly confident that you're going to play a team in the playoffs, you hold a lot to your vest. You're not going to reveal everything you have. And a great example of this would be, I think actually Nick Wright said this, so I'll give credit to him. He talked about, I think it was against the Chiefs, where he said, when the Eagles played the Chiefs, he goes, even if the Chiefs figured out a way how to successfully stop the tush push or whatever, the brotherly shove, that they wouldn't reveal it because they would save it for the Super Bowl if they faced them in the Super Bowl. And it's true. I think that's a very accurate statement, that you're obviously going to try to beat the other team, but you're just not going to reveal everything you have, especially if you really see some true weaknesses that you know you can exploit. You're not going to put that on tape. You're not going to let them now be prepared for that when the games really matter. So to me, those games are always a little bit harder to predict, as well as especially when you're now talking about week 17, because the truth is that week 17 game, they could be facing each other a couple weeks later, right? Like, it all depends on how the playoffs, how everything unfolds and the seeding. So I think that becomes a difficult game. And again, maybe the 49ers have that game completely, the number 1 seed completely wrapped, or the Detroit Lions have it completely, wrapped. And then it's like, all right, then you're definitely going to be calling that game and approaching it a little bit differently. Maybe if so-and-so is a little banged up, whether it be Christian McCaffrey or whoever, you're going to be like, we'll let him sit this game. It's not that important, right? Like, those things happen once you get deeper into the season. So again, I could see the Steelers, man, I'm all over the place. I could see the 49ers tearing this schedule up. Again, will be a very random game that they end up losing, where you're just like, what? They lost to Seattle? They lost to Seattle by 20 points? The heck happened? Like, those things just always happen. And maybe they blow out the Chiefs, right? They run up the score 21-3 against the Chiefs. You just never have any idea. So always trying to predict the schedule like this is always funny to me, but still fun nonetheless. But when I do look at that, nothing jumps out at me where I'm just like, dude, that's rough, or, oh my God, they're going to go undefeated, or whatever it may be. I mean, I just think that the Steelers should be the Steelers, I think I need to take a nap. The 49ers should be incredibly happy with their schedule. And I think it's a pretty good way to ease into it. I think there's a lot of teams and a lot of opportunities that they'll be able to take advantage of. And I think I think the 49ers should definitely feel that they are in a great position to lock down the number 1 seed again, as long as they all stay healthy, and as long as everything's going. I can't see why. The only way the 49ers take a step back from last season and not a step forward, or at least just stay the same, is injury. That's the only way. Otherwise, I'm just not seeing it. I don't see why they wouldn't be just as great. I don't think teams have suddenly figured out the 49ers. Shanahan suddenly didn't forget how to call plays. Like, I just think that unless the new DC hire is an absolute disaster, which could technically potentially be a possibility, that's always a possibility. Look at the Eagles when they got their OC in DC. Disaster, had to get rid of them. So that is technically a possibility. It's not necessarily what I'm predicting. I trust the 49ers organization. They're a top-level, blue-blooded organization since the beginning of time. Trust Shanahan. Trust all the weapons. They got veteran leadership. Brock Purdy is going to be incredibly comfortable. I'm not anticipating Brock Purdy taking a gigantic step forward, and now he's going to be balling out, looking like a Patrick Mahomes. I'm not seeing that. I think he'll probably be very similar to who he was last season, with probably a step forward. But again, I don't think he's now going to like step on to the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, right? That would be kind of crazy. So I think the 49ers are just in a great place to succeed. And the schedule has a lot of games that I'm really excited to watch. Like, I can't wait for the Jets. Obviously, I would love to see the KC rematch. I want to see the Packers rematch. It'll be fun to watch the 49ers beat up on the Cowboys. We know that's going to happen. And it'll be fun to even see the Bears, see who are the Bears at that time. I'm going to be making another video after this one. I see that Colin also does the Bears schedule, so I'm going to take a look at that as well. But yeah, no, I'm definitely really excited. And now that the schedules are being released, we're there. We're so close. A few more months and we are there. So close. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys think about the 49ers schedule? Do you think it's a tough schedule? Do you think it's an easy schedule? Do you think that they're in the front running position to lock down the number 1 seed? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.